Josh here from Chicken Fox Productions with another episode of Memories of Us podcast. This week, Tony presents Hemali Vora, an experienced physical therapist of 21 years, a Reiki master, and holistic health and nutrition coach. In today's interview, Hemali describes the impact that the loss of her father has had on her life and her profession.
I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Memories of Us. Today we have Hemali Vora, and she's here to tell her story about how she got to, well, let's just say to what she's doing in life today. And it's really good. I don't want to give away too many details because I think it's really exciting. How you doing today, Hemali?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me to come and speak with you and do this podcast.
Of course. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, where do I start, right? I've been in healthcare. I'm a physical therapist for last 21 years. But my life kept, shifting and changing and the choices that I've made. I am a Reiki master teacher now. I teach and certify, and I'm also certified in holistic nutrition. And my last adventure was into end-of-life doula.
Okay.
So I certified in that. I got that certification from University of Vermont.
Okay.
Yeah. And so how do I work with all that is I integrate all my teaching. So I used to work as physical therapist. I used to work at different hospitals. So I worked as a contractor with an agency. And so nursing homes, I've worked with babies, kids, outpatient, and rehab, you name it. And so I really love what I do as a physical therapist, but I knew that there was something more.
Right.
Especially when I worked at the hospital, my passion is working with elderly.
Okay.
Because I feel like they have so much wisdom in them, and then they're real, right? They'll tell you what they feel and how they feel it. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
They're truthful, right? And but I've learned so much from them. And so, people that would come with, or people that would have total hip, total knee surgery, back surgery, and doctors would tell them to lose weight. But then there's no that accountability or how,
Right.
what should they do? They just say, okay, you're obese, you need to lose weight.
Right.
And so I knew that there's this missing link in even physical therapy. Like I was like stickler in believing like exercise, and that's what would change everything, right?
Right.
And then because of personal kids and their issues, I have two kids, and they used to be sick all the time with asthma, like they had severe asthma. And allergies. And so I would be home with them all the time. And I would just keep giving them medications, right? The steroids, and then the side effects with steroids and what that would do.
Yeah.
So I knew that there has to be something. And so when I joined Institute of Integrative Nutrition, I really did that so that I could help my kids. And so I used to call myself like the frequent flyers in doctor's office, pediatrician's office, because really that's what we are, right? And we would go to doctor's office like 2 to 3 times a month. And once I started taking this class, I started changing things in the house, the products that I use, makeup, shampoo, conditioner, everything. Products to clean the house and wash the dishes or even clothes, and just shifting all that, and then moving into organic food, just shifting all that one whole year, our visits became 1 to 2 times a year from month, 2 to 3 times a month. And to see that I was like, there's no way I can unlearn what I learned. And
Right.
the people that I met that had all these, like they were bedridden and couldn't walk, and the doctors couldn't figure out. And then all of a sudden, people with cancer, people with like how they took responsibility for themselves, their body, and how whether it's prayers, whether it's whatever it was that they worked on, they shifted their lifestyle, their mindset, their thoughts, their words,
Right.
and how that shifted everything. So it's not just because we like to compartmentalize everything, we
Hmm.
go different doctors for different organs, different things, but we have to see how we are as a whole
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. Because
And when you start putting all that together, and when you start bringing all that together, that's when the shift and the changes happen.
right.
And so I started using that. And then I had also done Reiki level 1 and 2. And so I started using that with my patients. After work, I would ask patients, like even with stroke or anything, if they would like Reiki. I would tell them what it is. It's a Japanese form of touch healing, when you're in hospital, you're in that, okay, I'll try anything at this
Right.
point, to get better. And so I would just place my hand and just give that energy healing, and the results were better, and the outcomes were better. The pain relief was better. They were more focused and clear, and they would do their therapy better. Progress was faster. And so to see these changes, and then I started talking about nutrition with them to change, how to change, bring about change, especially when you're going through, you feel that when you're in pain and, you're suffering or whatever, you feel that you don't have the strength to go make something for yourself, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
living healthy takes time, but that's when you need it. That's that window of opportunity to shift and change your lifestyle, to shift and change, because the food that you consume, that soul food that will bring
Hmm.
warmth to you, ground you, it will soothe you inside, bring comfort. Not only that, I know, and some people would say that won't the junk food bring soothing and comfort, right? But that's
I
really,
do. I
yeah,
do. I like my sugar. I like my cupcakes and my Twinkies and things
right.
like that.
But really seeing that now, really, what is it that, say, your grandmother was making at home that
Hmm.
brought you comfort and joy,
Oh, yeah.
and your mom, or your ancestors, like your aunts, what is that? And how they made it with love, right? With, they
Right.
would sing on it, they would pray, they would do so, all those things that go with that, that releases all that stuff, that's the toxicity inside your body. And then, I started talking to them about changing your thoughts and changing your words. And um, well, my dad, and so during all that, and then this is before my dad passed away
Mhm.
um, in 2010. And since then, it's like I started, I went through this whole existential crisis and just asking myself, why am I here? What is my purpose?
Right.
Why is it? And then seeing his legacy, the work that he had done. He wasn't a rich man and nor educated man, but he has such a profound impact in the community and the people that he lived with. By, he believed in feeding people and helping people. That was his thing. And whoever was in need, I mean, they just had to ask, sometimes not even ask, and he would be there.
Yeah.
And to hear the stories of people coming together and telling, especially we were here when he passed away, but and we had moved to US in 91, so that was like 20 years later. But
Yeah.
people in India wanted prayers there, and they everybody came on the stage and talked a little bit about him and in front. And to hear these stories, it was like a moment where, wow, such a profound, like he was 2 when both his parents died.
Oh, wow.
And so his siblings and his aunts, uncles, like he's with other family members trying to take. There were 7 of them. And so to see and hear about this person that left his footprint even without having anything,
Yeah.
um, because that's what he, I guess that was his way of giving.
Right.
And so I think that's when really I started going in the path of legacy work. Like, okay, that was his legacy. What is my legacy going to be?
Right.
And it was also a realization that seeing the patterns, like my dad's side, mostly all his siblings and everyone, his parents too, probably passed away in their late 50s or early 60s.
Yeah.
But just his older sister and him made it to 69 and 67. And so to see that I was 37 or something then, and I was like, if I only have 20 years to live, if I have his genes and I have 20 years to live, I have such a short time to have an impact.
Yeah.
That's, you see the years are passing by and it's
Oh my
like,
God. Yeah.
right?
Oh
And
yeah.
so really looking at like, what is it? What is it I'm here for? Like that urgency of finding out what my purpose and path is, and to really leave my footprints and what it would be in the world. Um, and I mean, it started out that way, but then of course, anything and everything I would touch, it wouldn't work out because, of course, I was not going the right way. You would
Oh
think
yeah.
that, oh my God, this is so much pain and suffering. Of course, I would struggle through everything,
Yeah.
relationships, and all those things. But because once you ask this to God or universe, and they will put you on your path and purpose, right? It's
That
that
is very true.
and so when things are not working out for you, it's because there's a reason, step back,
Yeah.
pause.
But do you really
And
feel that it's not working out, or is everything working in your benefit to set you up for the blessing?
that's
Because I followed my path, right, and I'm
Mhm,
listening to yours. And when I was following my path, I came to the realization I'm 46 right now,
mhm,
and it just recently I started thinking about it. I went, this whole time because I had to do some self reflection as well, right, to do what I'm doing. And I started looking back, and it dawned on me. I said, what if we're living the path that we're supposed to be walking
mhm,
that leads to our purpose, right? Because all of these things they shape and mold us. Like my relationship with my family, and vice versa, your relationship with yours. It shapes and molds us and gets us on thinking about that path. What is our purpose? What are we going to do? Because we have examples, and that comes from having a relationship with your example. So, for
mhm.
instance, your dad and everything. What was the relationship between you and him? He lost both of his parents when he was 2, right? So,
Mhm,
growing up in a household with a man, and I know for a fact, men we like to hide things,
mhm.
especially our grief and things like that. And growing up in a household with a man like that, how was that? How did it shape and mold you? How was your relationship?
Right. So it's funny that you asked because I've been thinking lately, because we've been talking so much about it, and I'm working on a book and things. So
Yeah.
um, that first of all, my mom's dad passed away when she was very young too, and then
Wow.
her mom and her sibling had to really work hard to kind of support the family.
Right.
And so when I was born, I guess even as a little kid, um, first of course he's like, oh, I wish it was a boy so that they could, he would be able to support if anything happened to them. But my dad is like, it doesn't matter, girl or a boy, they're equally strong. And so, but I was the older one, so I was raised in a way where if anything happened to them, I would be able to raise my siblings,
Right.
so to speak. And so that was the kind of training given to me, being independent, being um but I, So when growing up, my dad and I were very close. But then eventually, when I grew up, I was more closer to my mom.
That tends to
And
happen.
yeah, and then I still feel that even when I got married and everything, my dad would come, like he would want to take my kids with him every weekend, and so they would go over there and spend time with them. But I felt like somewhere, and maybe there's this regret behind it, where somewhere that communication was lost,
Yeah.
where we were always in each other's presence, but not the words weren't said. Um, the feelings weren't shared,
Right.
and even like during the end, knowing that he had pulmonary fibrosis, um, but it was progressing very fast. It's like unknown how you get it, and then there's no cure, and so there's 7 years mortality rate. Um, and um, but he was diagnosed in July of 2009, and he passed away in 2010. It was just very fast because it was almost like he had given up. And
Right.
um, so yeah, so I think that was, I don't know. I mean, he would always make his presence feel in my life, like he was always around for me.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel that verbally or physical, like I think we grew up that way. Our culture is like, you don't have that close, the hugging and that I love you,
Right.
those
Right.
conversations. It was more you just know that I love you kind of thing. Like, it's more, Western to be that way. I mean, of course it's changing, but um yeah, and if I'm being tough with you, it's because I love you, right? It's that,
Right.
yeah,
No,
it's
it's
that,
called tough love.
right?
Parents
Exactly.
often do that because I think the first children are we're the guinea pigs for the rest of them.
Absolutely.
We're the guinea pigs. What's going to work and what's not going to work?
Right.
Well, when you get done with me, you will figure out what works for the rest of them. But
Right.
then the oldest ones, we're just like, okay, you guys got a lot easier than what I did because, yeah.
Because you get the spanking the most too, the
Yeah,
beating.
oh man, the math work. You don't get it right, you get beat up for that one. I used to tell my friends. I said, when I was coming up, I do believe there was a very thin line between a ass whooping and abuse, and I'm pretty sure my mother killed me like 3 times. I'm sure of it, right? And she brought me back not to get in trouble. Come back here, boy. You
Yeah.
know. So that relationship. When your dad passed away, did that really spark your journey into um, learning about Reiki? And how did that affect you know um, you moving forward after that?
Mm.
How did it affect your relationships? I know you said you struggle with them in a lot of areas. Explain some of those areas so people can get a better understanding that these things do happen. I know we
Mm.
talked before, so share a little bit of that
Right.
with us.
Well, I think Reiki more came. It's when I was in physical therapy school. This is in '98. I'm talking about where we have this class, massage class, or any. So we're doing these hands-on with ours, with the other students, right, with
Hmm.
classmates, and then so even while that, or even my first internship, where um, I was seeing these elderly ladies with fibromyalgia, and at the time, fibromyalgia was considered as a psychological issue. And so, but when they would come, I would know exactly where they're hurting. Like I would feel some warmth in my hand, and I would feel where they were warm over there. And so, and I would be able to help, soothe that. And they would come back and they were like, I don't know what you did, it really worked. My pain went away. And so then I would feel that there's something in my hand. like, what is it in my hand? But I had known of Reiki because one of my cousin had told me about my grandmother's neighbor. She um, she did Reiki and she helped people, and so I was like, oh, maybe I need to learn Reiki, but I didn't learn it or it didn't come to me until 2014. So that's how long I waited because I thought it was from India and I wanted to go to India and do it. But it's really a Japanese form of touch healing.
Yeah.
And so it just happened. I went to this one of these stores, health food store. I didn't find anything. I came back out. Um, but there was this flyer. And I remember it was like Wednesday or something. The class was on that Saturday. And I called up and I said, if I don't do it now, I will never do it. And she's like, I have space, come on over. And that's how it worked. With me, um, I didn't start really grieving my dad until like 6 years later. Things, it's like I couldn't even look at his picture and I couldn't even keep any picture in my house. It's like it would just disappear. I don't know some of my pictures. Really, it was just weird because I couldn't maybe he was helping me,
Yeah.
um, to it's okay. It's okay, grieving doesn't have to be right then. And it's layers and layers and layers.
Oh my God.
Because
Right.
I remember and going through what class did I take? One of the class, the Reiki master teacher level, where 2 3 years later, and when I said, okay, somebody had told me that you have to let them go so that they can um, even though it had been 6 7 years that he had passed, and so I said, so I did this meditation and I let him go and everything. And then the next person I talked to, we were just joking around, and I and her got along so well. Like we just kind of clicked.
Hmm.
And so all of a sudden asked her, this is like right after that meditation that I let him go and all that stuff, right? And she said, the same date as my dad's. And I was like, of course, like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm right here. No matter what, I will always be here with you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was another, like, okay, so yeah, I let go of you, but yet I know that you are going to be around me and
Yeah.
you are always going to support me and love me no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's okay that, people think that once you grieve, that means that you have to not remember them or forget them. But you would be grieving until you die and you would love them until you die.
That is very, very true. And I often, that's what I do. I give grief support for men. Now, as a woman, did you feel that when you was going through the grieving process, did you feel it right away? I mean, because I know for me, it took me 30 years to actually start grieving all the trauma that I went through,
Hmm.
all the friends that I've lost, family members. It took
Right.
me 30 years to actually get to a point to where I understood. But as a man, we're not taught that.
Yeah.
We're not taught what grieving is. We don't even know what grief is. We
Right.
just know that it's a horrible feeling that we don't want to
Bring it up.
pursue, bring up, right? Those emotions and things like that. But everybody's different. I've met so many people in the different walks of grief that sometimes their stories go, immediately I allowed myself to feel,
Hmm.
or sometimes they're like, yeah, no, that was one of those things I never really addressed. And they feel those emotions eventually. I do believe that the more you suppress it, the bigger the outburst is.
Hmm.
Because it's like a balloon.
Yeah.
For me, it's like a balloon, and all of these things are going in, and they're filling it up. That balloon keeps getting bigger and bigger, and no one else sees it except for you.
Mhm.
Was that like the experience with you? I mean, you say it took you six years to grieve. When
Or start the process.
or even start the process, right? And once you started that process, what was it like going through the emotions and things like that? How did it affect your relationships, with your family, your friends, your coworkers, and things like that? Because for me, I got used to people leaving. I got used to hearing these words, "This is too much for me."
Mm.
And so at first I used to take it personal. So that was my relationship I had with people outside of me, but
Yeah.
because I didn't understand. And so I used to take it personal. I'm like, it's too much for you. I'm the one who's going through it, and
Yeah.
it's too much. Okay, well, fine. So I just I just closed everybody out. I was like, you
Mm.
know what? It may be too much for you, but at the end of the day, I'm the one who still have to go through this. And
Yeah.
I did not allow myself to feel. I was angry. I isolated hard. I had everything at home. I didn't need to go anywhere. I
Right.
had my weights at home. I had my food at home. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, so it was real simple for me. Get up in the morning. It became habitual. So for
Mm.
2 years, I don't even remember a whole lot except for the habits that I formed.
Wow.
Get up, go to work, get off work. Get home, I eat. I sit down, I read for 20, 30 minutes, and then for 3, 4 hours, I'm in my garage working out. And then from there, I come back and I eat, and then read until I fall asleep. If I
Yeah.
fell asleep,
Yeah.
So explain that one to me, your journey in that aspect.
Wow. Yeah, and so I think and everybody grieves differently, right? And
Hmm.
with us, I think we wouldn't I think my siblings and my mom, and we would just tiptoe around things.
Right.
We won't, like, I wouldn't want to say anything to my mom because I'm feeling that, because I would be like, what if I talk to her and she's not thinking about him or any of that? Then I will make her sad. And then I would then bring her into that whole being upset.
Yeah.
And that how it goes. And it goes same way with my siblings too. It's like we didn't talk much about it. But I do remember with my kids, and even and I had learned this from my mom when my grandmother had passed away. Her mom had passed away. That they they love to celebrate life,
Mm.
and so um, really celebrating. It doesn't matter who, how young, how old, celebrating their life and thinking about all the cool stuff, or laugh about some of the things that they did, and really have fun around that. Really embrace how beautiful they were, and all the memories that you had with them, right?
Yeah.
And so with my kids and things, so that's one thing. Like if a door would crack open, or there was some noise, or felt something like, ooh, that's Nana saying hi to you. Or my son, I would do with him, like we would find these pennies or nickels and things. I'll be like, oh, look, there's that. He's saying hi to you. Pick it up. It's him, telling you hi. So that when in his, or the lights are flickering or something like that, like, oh, he's saying hi, kind of thing. So we would joke around, and I would joke around with my mom about that, all that too. And so she would just laugh about it. But I don't think we ever sat down and really talked much about that grief part with each other. And so we all were grieving in our own space and on our own, like inside. And like you said, you talk about a balloon. I talk as pressure cooker. I use pressure cooker all the time. But how you put all that, and it just stays in, stays in, stays in, and then one day it's going to explode. And so I really started having insomnia. I couldn't sleep at nights because until and unless you don't lose your someone close to you, you don't realize how it feels, and the shifts and changes that happens within a family structure.
Right.
And so I've always been an observer, like keen observer, where I see all these gaps that people live behind, or the void that they leave behind, and what happens, and how the restructuring happens within family, siblings and mom, and and then to separate two parents, right?
Yeah,
One unit is totally different. You don't know who's saying what and who's acting how. And
that's
to
very true.
separate and to separate and then only see that one person and their likes and dislikes and their patterns and habits, and like, oh, it was her, not him, or it was him, not her, and things like that. And
Hmm.
to see all that, and so it's like you're going through so many things. I would like just observe all these things and the shifts and changes, and who's going to take that position and the place in that family unit, of that elderly person leaving, or that man, the figure leaving, and things like that. Um, and how everybody grieves. And so I would watch all that. But not only that, it's like, then of course there was a rift between my husband and I, in terms of he didn't know what it felt like to grieve. And I would talk about it. And it's like, you don't know what it feels like. And so, and he wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
And so what grief is, and to lose someone that is so close. I saw my parents and I talked to them every day, and I saw them at least once a week. We lived close by. I was very close to, I am very close to my siblings and my parents. And so to have that happen,
Right.
it was very hard, but I still wasn't grieving. I was maybe angry. I was just processing. I was feeling guilty for not being there, for not doing, or even, I mean, there's a story behind it, but feeling that maybe I caused his death. And um, so all those emotions wrapped up. And, so really one day I was just, every day I did Reiki meditation. And then one day I was just January of 2016, I want to say, that I started my meditation, and just that whole 1 hour or more, I just cried the
Mm.
whole time. It was like that was my bubble bursting,
Yeah.
where that was just the beginning of opening up. Um, and that process, I mean, that beginning of it, where like I could really cry
Yeah.
and grieve him.
Yeah. I think that's a huge thing, is allowing yourself to feel,
Hmm.
allowing
Right.
yourself to go through those emotions. Because I know for me, once I started allowing myself to actually feel
Yeah.
what I was going through, is so much, because I had compressed it in for so long that
Right.
eventually, when it did come out, I found my breaking point. That point where the bubble burst, and it wasn't just like a burst. It was like a slow let out at
Right.
first.
Right. Right.
Like somebody had took the pen and pulled it out a little bit and let a little bit of air out at a time, and I found myself, anxiety ridden.
Right.
I used to walk around and I go, oh man, my chest hurts. So, after seeing, my father, he passed away from congestive heart failure. My little brother passed away from an asthma attack. My son, unknown causes. Still couldn't explain that one.
Oh,
And my mother was a stroke. And so I'm thinking about all these things, and then all of these other things that I had been suppressing so long. It was psst, and I was
right.
and eventually, like the insomnia, just like I get it. I'm walking around the house, it's just me, there's nobody there, and it's just pure dark. So your mind can play tricks on you, right? So I found
Yeah.
myself balled in a corner most nights, and
Mm,
just begging for the pain to stop, and tears just started coming.
mm,
And then I realized that, every night I was doing that. And then I wasn't, and then one night I slept. I closed my eyes. I said, tonight I have to get some sleep. I can't sleep. So I
mhm,
finally closed my eyes and I slept. And I tell you what, I woke up the next morning and I felt better. It was like
mm,
somebody, had turned the faucet off,
mm,
and that pressure again started building up. And it's like somebody turn the faucet on just a little bit more. So then it starts pouring out. Now my conversation with people is changing. I'm allowing
Yeah.
people to come in. I'm starting to feel, not really vulnerable,
Yeah.
but I started telling myself, I'm going to tell my story because there's someone else out there that needs to hear this. And so, yeah, you're right, the grieving process. And as a woman, it's really strange to hear a woman say, "Oh, I kept that in for a little bit," but listening to it, all I can see is the 5 stages of grief going through. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so funny that
And
that
I think
happened.
it's more a matter of, that you feel um, that the whole masculinity and the feminine and all that. But then if you are in that position where you've always been more stronger person, that you feel that you need to hold it in
Hmm.
for the others, so I think that also has to do with it. um and just people process it differently. Some takes longer time to even start the process,
Oh
or
yeah.
to so I think it's that, like, things are shifting and changing now. We want everything right now, that instant gratification. Like, you
Mm,
want your sorrow and suffering and pain going away right now, and you don't want to do any hard work. You don't want to go inside more, go dive deep and take out all that, whatever it is. And like you said, everything piles up,
hmm.
and it's just everything, all the really everything. And then once things start, it's like domino effect, right? Once things start falling down, it's like everything just starts falling
Oh my
apart.
God. Oh, girl, yeah, I totally understand that. Like
And it's
it's
like,
like buildings.
exactly, exactly. And then you feel that that's your bottom, and then to find out that no, that's not even beginning of the bottom, and you
Right.
go below
There's
that.
another level down there, right? And we never even know. But I think a lot of times is that we don't know that we're there.
Yeah,
We don't. We
right,
because when your version of rock bottom may look a whole lot different, right?
right.
Until you realize that your version of rock bottom don't exist. There's another
Yeah,
level, and then there's
yeah.
something down below there.
Hmm.
And that's what happened with me. I felt I looked back on this path and it felt like I've dropped down this 20-foot cylindrical hole,
Mm,
and the sides were so soft. Well, not
right.
soft, they were smooth. And I couldn't get a hold to pull myself up. So I
Mhm.
remember, just like yourself, you just you go, I I need something different. I want a way out of this. I was looking for that instant gratification, right? I was looking for somebody to drop me a lifeline, to go, hey, drop me this line, help me out of here, right? I was looking for someone to save me. And every time, like, I saw the rope and I'm over here looking, I'm like, somebody's up there, And what I didn't realize is that I was looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm looking at this rope and I'm going, somebody came to save me. Somebody dropped me a lifeline. So every time I would go to grab it, they would pull it up. And I'm going, what? Why are you pulling it up? I
Yeah.
know, bring it back down. And it felt like they just kept throwing dirt on top of my head,
Mm,
right? And I tell people, that was the defining moment for me. That's when I realized what was actually going on.
mm,
That in order for me to get out of this hole, I'm going to have to take this dirt and I'm going to have to put it underneath my feet and I'm going to have to pack it as tight as I can to make it solid. And I realized that every time it happened, I was able to pull myself up a little bit
rise up.
more. I watched the rope go up, and I went from this to going, okay, kick the dirt down here so I can pack this down because eventually I'm going to get to the top. And after a while, I turned around and the hole was full.
Yeah.
And I felt so much better. I was able to stand up. I became not proud of myself,
Mm,
but I was I was humbled.
mm,
I was humbled because now I understood what it takes to climb out of this hole of grief.
right.
And allow myself to feel these emotions because the tears are your mortar. It helps make the ground soft in order
Mm,
to harden up, right? So you
mm,
gotta stomp on that for a little bit. Your tears is what's gonna help make that solid.
right.
Uh,
Yeah, and I think, you bring up a very good point in terms of you have to surrender.
Yeah.
You have to surrender. You have to move towards the grief, move towards the suffering,
Hmm.
the pain and everything. And then once you start embracing it, then you're able to, at some point you'll be like, okay, I give in. I give in. And that's when you are able to move up and you're able to once you start feeling all the feelings, giving permission, like you said,
Right.
giving yourself permission to feel every emotion possible. You're angry, fine, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's like we've been taught as little kids that, and our parents have been taught, and so it's like goes on, but the society that you can't show your emotions, you can't, be it men or women, right? Girl or a boy, like you have to be that good person.
Right.
Nobody should know how you're feeling inside, right? Can't show it on your face, can't cry, can't scream, can't fight, can't be angry, can't, so there shouldn't be any outbursts. So it's like, and that's what we teach our kids too. And so what happens when you don't do that? And then it's like it just piles on. And so not only you have all these childhood traumas, which magnifies as a
All
child, but you
right.
bring it along with you as an adult, and then how it is just you're in this, really you're this little, and the whole, all these emotions and stuff is just pushing you down and down
Right.
into
Yeah.
that hole. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy because I'm listening to that. I'm like, oh man, now here we go with the childhood.
Yeah.
And I think society needs to take the pressure off of us as human beings and realize that we come equipped with emotions.
Right.
For a man or for most human beings, it's real hard to surrender to what you're going through. And I know for me, I'm a born fighter. You put me in a situation, all I know is to keep pressing forward, is to fight with everything that I have. So I became very resilient. So after the trauma and everything, losing my parents and my son and all of these things, and I'm putting it all together. I kept telling myself, you're not going to beat me.
Mm,
You're not going to beat me, regardless of what you do to me. You're not going to beat me. I now eat those words,
yeah.
and I have no problems with saying that. I now eat those words, man, and it did. It beat the crap out of me, and I've never. I've been in a lot of physical fights, being an ex MMA fighter, boxer, martial artist, bodybuilder,
Yeah.
all of these things. You challenge your body, you put your body through the
Well,
you put yourself
everything.
through it,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? To make yourself physically tough, but mentally disciplined as well. And
Mm,
at some point, the discipline and the toughness, it just wasn't there anymore.
mm,
It just wasn't there. I could not fight something that I couldn't see. If it was in front of me, a physical object, oh, let's go for it. I know exactly what I'm. But this one was more of a spiritual battle.
mhm.
It was more of I'm fighting something that I don't understand, the grieving process.
Right.
And I went, if I stopped fighting and I took it as a lesson, I wonder what that would look like. So again, just like yourself, you find your purpose through these different avenues, these different tunnels coming out through the other side and everything, and then, you got into Reiki and everything. So, you know, how was that a beneficial in your grieving process and everything?
Oh my God. The Reiki has so much profound, it's brought so much profound changes in me, and helping me not only just with grieving, but working through all these traumas and pains, and sometimes generational traumas and past lives. And if you, believe in all that, but it has just brought me to who I am, like my essence.
Hmm.
And it shows the miracles that life holds, every moment holds,
Right.
and the synchronicity that the people that are brought into your life, and then to see that, that saying of God doesn't give you more than you can handle. And it is so true, and sometimes it feels like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I sometimes feel that the angels and God laugh at me, and I really look up and I'm like, fine, laugh as much as you want, That's what you said. I'll show you the difference. And so it just brings me to more of aware living. What are my thoughts? What am I saying? My words. It just brings me more, like, it has, not that I wasn't compassionate, not that I wasn't kind or anything, but I think it's just, I'm an empath, meaning I feel everything and everybody else's energy.
Mhm.
And so I soak in all that. So it has also helped me to protect that, but also to see how people feel so I'm able to help them a little bit more.
Yeah.
It has um, given me this understanding and clarity. It gives me focus to what life is about, the petty things and all those things, how it kind of just shifts away. Um, Even people, like, I used to have these things where it happened where, and a lot of us do, is like you're in the same situation, different people,
Yes.
same conversation, different people, same fight, same, it's like, haven't I been here before? Like, what am I doing? Why is this happening to me? But to really, instead of that why, it's like, okay, what is my lesson in it? And so
I
I
love
started
that.
asking those questions, like, what is my lesson in it? And what I found more than anything is my inaction, or didn't say anything, because I'll be like, oh, I'm above this. I'm 40 years old. I'm not going to go back as a like teenager, arguing about these things. And I would just
Right.
walk away. I would be the bigger person. I would walk away. But there's something to that. Inaction is also an action. And so people think that that's okay.
Yeah.
So to really, for me, learning how to um, stand for myself, like as a person, as a professional, I would stand up, I would advocate for my patients, I would advocate for my sister, or if anything happened to them, I would fight for them, like I would go. And kids, I would say, even like, if it was happening to my kids, I would go and, I'll tell them, right? We all will, right? Not in a good way. So what it showed me was that, why not you? What is wrong with you? Why won't
Right.
you stand up for yourself? Why wouldn't you advocate for yourself? And also sometimes giving that responsibility, like, okay, this is, you're wrong in that. Like, I would react to things. I would be so angry. And so I would just have these outbursts, and I would be on the wrong. And so realizing that, where am I going wrong? So looking in, when people say, like, these meditation, I'm a very visual person, so I get visions and things. And so when you're told to jump into the light, everybody would jump.
Right.
And there was an open the door and there's light, and the angels, God asks you to jump, and you jump. But then if there you open a door and there's only darkness, are you going to jump? That was one of my year, where jump, I'm telling you to jump. And I jumped, and what it was is I was jumping into my own darkness,
Mm.
my own, my patterns, my habits, my and nothing to blame myself, to really see, like, I demanded respect, I demanded love from other people. We all, first we have to define what love really means to you,
Right.
and what it, right? And
Yeah.
love comes in so many different ways and forms, and we want the partner or other people to make you happy, and to love you this forever and endless. These movies screw up your mind, and I come like I come from India, where Bollywood movies, I mean, it's all about that, right? These Cinderella movies and stuff. And
Oh my God. Right.
um, so it's like, you alone are going to make yourself happy, and you alone. If you don't know how to love yourself, you're never going to be satisfied with what anybody else offers because you don't know what it means.
Right.
And so even in that process, so my goal in life really is, or passion in life is to, mission, whatever you call it, is to help men and women both, is to really, that radical self-care, that
Mm,
unconditional self-love, what unconditional means, without judgment, without criticism, accepting who you are, forgiving yourself, because really in the end of the day, you're angry with yourself. You're angry with yourself that you didn't stand up, or you didn't speak up, or you, that regrets and guilt and all that, is, it's for yourself. So really, forgiving yourself, to do really, really accepting who you are, because we all, every one of us, are this love and light. We are made from one person, by one person, um, and that's who we are, and that's what our essence is. And so other things, what we do outside in our human form, is really because of our experiences and all that. But in the end of the day, we all are looking for that acceptance and love, that
right.
unconditional love. And so really my journey, that's how it started. So Reiki really helped me to see where I'm not being truthful, where I'm not practicing what I'm preaching, where
Mm.
I'm not. Of course, they bring people in my life that would show me and tell me,
It's
especially my
funny though, huh?
daughter. Yeah, she's like, practice what you preach. She holds me to those things. She's my toughest teacher. And I love that. I do. And I think that little kids have so much to offer, just as elderly, the wisdom that they have. And, taking life, we take it so seriously, everything, and
Oh
to
yeah.
really enjoy, and enjoy our experience. And once I started doing that, and when you, like you were saying, that you kind of hold your control, you want that control of everything,
Yeah.
you want to plan everything, because that's how we've been, programmed these days. But when you let go of that control and flow with everything, and I've learned that, what you resist persists, not only persists, but it becomes so much bigger.
It
And it's
does.
not what you say and the words and what you think, it's the feeling, that energy that you hold.
Hmm. We
And
attract what we're going through.
exactly. And um the more, it's like, the more you keep thinking these things, like, oh my God, I don't know why I cannot come out of it. I'm doomed, all these experiences are coming at me and all that. But if you shift that perspective, we're million or billion people in this world, and there are that many perspectives and looking at things differently.
Yes.
Um, and so how do you shift that perspective? How do you, to pause, breathe, step back? And as an outsider, when you look into situations, you get a different view of it. You get a different, like, you and I could be looking at one thing and we would have a totally different story to tell about it, right?
That's very true.
And
That's
then
very
there's
true.
another reality to it too, you know.
Oh yeah. It,
And so, yeah. And
I,
somebody who's in it has a different story altogether.
that's very true. Perception is reality.
Right.
And just like with your clients and everything, you see these different perspectives.
Right.
And I just like everyone else, I had to fight getting there, and my
Mhm.
perspective about it was totally different, because I had no examples.
Mm.
I had no one saying, "Hey," I had no one to really talk to, but in the same sense, I did.
Mhm.
In the same sense, I did. But my relationship with God was wrecked when I was going through it. So my perception of it was, you know, if you're my father, why would you hurt me?
Mm.
So my perspective about it was, I've had family. I've had a mom that used to beat me all the time, and you're supposed to be the one that say that you love me, but you hurt. I don't really see any difference here. So
Yeah.
my perception about it had really shifted over,
Mm,
and it wasn't till I realized is that even though it shifted over, it was shifting into a deeper understanding.
mm,
Yeah, I hurt you, but I also gave you something in return.
yeah.
And I believe that these tragedies that we go through in life, they shape us. I mean, they instill a certain amount of purpose and understanding within the person who's receiving it, if we're open to receiving it
Right. Yeah,
and everything.
absolutely.
And
And we feel deserve it.
right, and if we feel that we deserve it, right?
Yeah.
But I often see that when people go through hard things, the first thing that we say is that we don't deserve it,
Mm,
right? We're blinded by what we're going through in that moment,
yeah.
not understanding that in that moment is setting you up for something for your future. And
Yeah.
for the longest time, I did not realize, oh man, I was mad at the world. I was going around like, you know what? Just stay out of my life. I used to always tell God, you know what? Just stay out of my life. I'm over you right now.
Yeah.
Like you tell me one thing, then you do another thing, and he used to always laugh at me. I'm like, no, it's not funny.
Yeah.
This is not funny, right? I don't know what you're laughing at, but
Yeah.
from my perspective, I'm about to be homeless. I'm about to lose my car. But all of these things, and he's still laughing. We're like, I really don't see the humor.
Yeah.
I really don't see the humor. It wasn't until some years later, and I sit back and laugh about it now because I'm constantly being reminded. Remember when you told me this? Like, yeah, and look at what you have now. I was like, you know what? I'm not even talking to you.
Yeah.
I am no. So I'm a rebel. So I'm constantly arguing with him.
Yeah.
He'll say, "Hey, I need you to do this." I'm going, nope, I'm not. I
Yeah.
don't. No, it sounds good to you. I am not about to do that. And he
Yeah.
goes, "No, you are." I'm going, no,
Mm, mm,
just not going to happen. But what I didn't realize is that it was leading me to my purpose. Right?
yeah.
He said, "Jump. Have faith in the things that you don't see. Jump." Right?
Exactly.
And in those darkest moments, right? I used to tell my buddy, when I was building my nonprofit, I was on his path, right? All the trauma had came forefront. I'm on this journey. I'm learning. I know I have this clear vision over here. And I
Mm,
used to see the path, but then I didn't realize that, a little bit further down, it was dark. So
yeah.
I got to that dark place, right? And I'm going, okay, all the doors that I've been in, you've closed. Now I have a little section of light and everything else is dark. And I'm going, oh, this is not what I was thinking about. And he said, no, take a step forward. No, I can't see that. No, how do you trust me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I trust you, but that is dark. I cannot see. I can see what's over there. Like you got to light up a path for me. He goes,
Right.
okay, either you don't take a step forward, or I'm going to push you. Oh, you're
Mm.
not going to
Oh
push
yeah.
me, right? So now the fighting side, you're not going to push me. Like it's dark over there. I can't see. You know, give me a lantern, give me a candlestick or something. Give me a match. Even if it goes out, I can get a little bit further. And so I sucked it up. He goes, have faith in me.
Yeah.
He goes, if you trust me with your life, then have faith in me. And I went, you know what? You got me. I have to practice what I preach. I
Yeah.
can't tell someone else to have faith and jump and trust that things are going to work out if I do not do it. Right.
Yes.
And I had so many people on the outside going, you're crazy, man. What? You're crazy. What are you doing? And I realized that throughout all of their opposition and judgment and ridicule, I had to take responsibility. And I
You're right.
said, you know what? I am going to trust you. And I stepped into the dark and I realized that every time I stepped, it lit up. He
Yeah.
goes, see, that's what I'm talking about. You don't trust me that I already have the path laid out for you. You're too busy working on what you don't see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that type of God. Everything I've done for you, you have not seen. But look at what you have. Yes, you look at what I've taken away from you, but you don't look at the gift that I've given you. You cannot talk the talk if you can't walk the walk. So I did these things to you so you can be able to walk in strength and faith and curiosity to be able to help the next person explore that curiosity into their journey. And I'm relating to your story and everything, so forgive me.
Oh,
But
no, no.
it's that
And
relation,
that's what
you
I'm
know?
saying, that yes, our grieving, everybody grieves differently, but really that's the whole, I think, the process.
Yeah,
And many go through that. And trusting and having faith, yeah. And I think we are so programmed to um and we do this all the time, where we're like, once I finish this, then I will do this.
right.
Once I'm feeling better, then I will do. It's not like that. So what it is like, I will do this right now, then everything will start falling in its place. That's what it was. So I had to kind of, you have to make space
Yeah,
first.
yeah,
So you have to let go of other things. So you do that first. That is your first step to make decision. Like, for example, like, someone was telling me they were having severe back pain, or they had hurt themselves. And I said, come to me, I will help you, with the Reiki, or let me help you. And this is someone I loved and cared for. No, once I feel better, then I'll come. Then I was like, what is the point then?
right.
What is the point then? That you're going to wait till it gets better. And this happens all the time. And it's also, people don't know what's going to come up. Like, so I'm when I give Reiki session, I do online too. So it's a distant healing too, where I I see visions. I'm clairvoyant. I'm clair sentient. Smell, hear, things like that. And so I talk to them after, and I tell them what I hear and what I see, and what the next they should be, going, or really, I'm just a channel. And so sometimes people are afraid that they don't know what's going to come up,
Yeah,
and people are afraid to um, take that first step. And even though I tell them that I will hold your hand through it, um, I usually do, the clients that I have, and they've seen the shift and change in their perspective, shift and change in their life, um, from that sadness, sorrow, grief. I see a lot of them that are, people, men and women both, that have, healthcare workers, caregivers, that we do so much for everybody else, but we don't take care of ourselves.
yeah,
And, we don't move forward. And it's like, you are that person that's invisible. And so how do you shine your light? How do you um so helping with their self-worth and um self-esteem, their confidence, and all those things. So Reiki helps with that too. And so to see, sorry, I kind of went on the
no,
other
no,
side of the tangent, but um that's how, with also with death and things, I feel that the more I explored that, I was really fascinated, curious about death, and then the afterlife, and the what happens few weeks, months before that. Because and then taking this end of life doula course, it kind of confirmed, like, there's so many research out there where people talk about um, the person that is at their end, they see the loved ones that are in spirit world,
right.
or they see angels, or at the end they see the light. And the things that they say before, like, they don't even know that that's but it's like they have a feeling that they are going to
Right.
pass away. And when they're on the other side, the spirit world, it's like we feel that our deaths are going to be violent, or we're going to suffer, and there's going to be pain. But all these stories that come up, they talk about the peace and the love that they're surrounded by. And so it's not that we make it out to be. And that's where our fear is.
Yeah.
And mostly it's that fear of, for the people that are left behind, is more of that loneliness and that helplessness. And how are you going to survive without these people that were in your life?
Right.
But we come into this world, and you know the day we are conceived, it's like that little cell, it's like we move towards death, right?
Right.
It's that impermanence, the things that change constantly.
Hmm.
Our soul doesn't change. And I've ventured into the Vedic, the Bhagavad Gita. It's like Bible, right, for
Right.
Hindus, where Vedic uh, philosophy, or whatever you call teachings, that if you look at it, when you're a little kid, when you're a baby and you change these body, right?
Hmm.
You're in youth, you're elderly, and then you move. So what they say is that, but the soul, that essence, who you are, remains the same. When you look at your picture, baby picture, it's you.
Yeah.
That's because that's you, that essence, and it moves from body to body. And so the
Right.
same thing happens. Your soul came in from somewhere else into that little cell, and then moved to the baby, and then adults, and to elderly, and then it goes on to the next realm and next form and space wherever you're needed. But and when it's like you come for a purpose,
Hmm.
when your purpose is served, then you move to the next purpose and next. So it's like we grieve for something in someone, but really it's their soul is never ending, and they're always there. Their presence is always there around us. It's that we miss the body, the material itself.
Yeah. We grieve the flesh,
Right.
and and rightfully so, because
Yeah.
that's something that we could touch and
Right.
everything, and so we get so wrapped up into grieving the flesh that we forget to celebrate the spirit. They're
Right.
not dead; they just moved on.
Right.
And it was something that I want to touch on something, because I have my philosophy, my own perception or philosophy about death, right? Because before we get here, we all know each other in the
Right.
spirit form.
Yeah.
And death is no different, right?
Right.
Right. So I used to tell a friend of mine, and this helps me, not saying that anybody can take this, but if you want to, by all means, it's yours to take. But I always tell people
Yeah.
death was there in the beginning and it's there
Yeah.
in the end. So, you working with people with end of life, I always looked at it as if, when when you're born, death has to say goodbye to you.
Hmm.
Death mourns your spirit,
Yeah.
right? And what if death was the first person that you saw when you're returning home? Death is there to greet you. He or she is an old friend.
Hmm.
Is there to go, hey, you know what? Your time is up, my friend. It's time to take you home. We leave them leaving this home, and death rejoices in bringing them back to their home.
Yeah.
And it's like a guiding light, and death is one of those things that, I feel is jealous of the flesh,
Hmm.
because we can do the things that death can't. We can touch other people. We can feel love, right? Only thing that death feels is the coming and going of your spirit.
Hmm.
Now, it I believe that death experiences happiness in different ways than we do, and
Hmm.
sadness as well. Like what we see is reverse for death.
Hmm.
So that whole returning back to life thing, I'm all. I was exploring. I said, what if that's what happens? And then what people see, it's like seeing an old friend.
Yeah.
And what we see is what we see. What we
Right.
see, we don't see the underneath. So, and I think that God has just designed us in so many unique ways. And when you explore the journey of the flesh and the spirit, and how parallel, they walk, but
Yeah.
in so many ways it's different because the flesh has to catch up with the spirit.
Mm.
And far as understanding, the spirit already understands the ways of the universe, these
Yeah.
lessons, these challenges,
Yeah.
and understands what it needs to manifest itself and bring itself out, right? And the flesh, we fight. Oh my God, no, we don't want to, not dealing with that. So, yeah,
Yeah, our mind and is also a material, right? It's that body, but it's our soul that our true essence that knows everything. And so when we are doing this whole or that venture into spirituality is more of taking away the layers and layers and layers to find the true, to get to, not find, but get to that true essence
right.
that you are and what you are. So I think that, um, yeah, very, very true. It's it's like you can go really deep into it, and I'm still processing. It's like, yes, we are unique in our own ways, and there are different ways to getting to that one true God,
Mhm.
and we are part of Him. It's like sun, and then the rays, and we are each rays coming from the same sun, um, and yeah.
Now COVID. Let's talk. How did COVID affect the work that you're doing right now?
Mm,
Because last year I know we were on lockdown,
yeah.
and the virus hit and things just went haywire. So it forced us to think outside the box to really, use our heads and how we adapt to this. How
Right.
how did it affect your practice? How did you go about doing that?
Yeah. So in 96, end of 96, and 97, I started 97, sorry, 20. So, oh my God, I'm like all discombobulated about the years now.
Oh
But
yeah.
2017, I had decided to let go of my like contract at the hospital.
Hmm.
And I started my practice, and I have a studio. Um, um, at my place. And so, but I still contract with some surgery center for physical therapy. And because people couldn't come and see anyone, so everything had stopped. I
Right.
did do some of, distant Reiki, but people, of course, like that whole in person kind of touch and being able to really see other person. And I had elderly um, um, people that I was seeing, and so of course they weren't getting out of the house, and I totally understand. So the surgery centers had also closed down, so I was really not doing much. But what they that gave me perspective was actually before that I kept asking God, I kept asking my husband and everyone like I just need few weeks to sit down and write. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to work on my business, and I just need few weeks without pickup, drop off, taking kids and cooking and all those things, right? And when COVID happened, everything shut down, and I was like, God, you didn't have to shut down the whole world for me. I understand you want to give me what I asked for,
Gotta be careful with that. Like, I just need some time. Okay, shut the whole world down.
right?
No, you
Exactly.
have it.
And so I was just, joking with him, but I was like, look, he gives you what you ask for. And so I did I had started I joined this community on Facebook in last year January, and then um where this person Laura DeFranco, she's also a physical therapist, and her clinic shut down. But what she was doing is she passionately believes in intuitive writing, and she helps healers and everybody to bring forward moving beyond fears in speaking and writing and things
Yeah.
like that. And so I joined her intuitive writing class, and I started writing. I wanted to write a book for a few years now. And one day she had a like in her dream, she's like, I have all these healers, I need 24 people to write a chapter. And so I don't know how and why I said yes. And so I wrote in her first book, Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing Techniques, I wrote a chapter on my mindful eating and how it shifted our life. And so this was a book to bring people that were so fearful
Mm.
and to go within a book to, we told our story and we gave a tool and even resources on our website for people to go and do these things at home while they're home, and instead of fearing what's happening, and changing and shifting their lifestyle and bringing into awareness this different side of where people are always busy, and they don't want to look beyond, that tunnel vision,
Mm.
that there is outside, there's other things there, the consciousness and that whole awareness, and how you, once you shift that, things start shifting in your life for the better. And so just last book, and now she's at fifth, so this became like a series. And um, the book is coming out in March, first week of March, where I wrote about legacy work. And when I did end of life doula program, where what really attracted me, I just didn't know what I was going to do with that.
Right.
Whether I was going to hold space for um, people that were at that terminally ill, and they're at that end stage. I was just led to that class through my meditation and these synchronistic events that happen, that what really the dignity therapy that they talk about, legacy work, what it
Mhm.
talks about is, and I did interviews with people to just get an idea and to see, like I was interviewing one of my friend, and we always think that we don't do enough,
Mm.
and we feel that we are not enough, and that we have to do these profound things to make a difference and impact in other people's life, and to show people that even a smile that you give into that world, smile from your soul, that changes world and brings love in their life, somebody else's life, and it makes such a big impact. Just saying hello, how are you?
Yeah.
Or just giving that listening ear, or just holding space and not saying anything, but just being in the presence with that person.
Yeah.
And that really drew me. I think that's how it put me into my path. And so I wrote about a little bit about that, in terms of how can you start right now to shift and start changing and being in that awareness that you can make an impact, maybe even in your household and your kids, and it doesn't matter, you can start anytime. It's never too late.
That's true.
You can start now. And how can you shift that? How can you change? What are some of the ways to do this work, to find, and once you, and that's what I've been, I've seen that now I've listened to my intuition. And like you say, you're like, no, go this way. And I'm like, no, I'm not going. I'm fighting and I'm resisting. Like, why? You tell me why first. I want to know why.
Yeah.
But slowly and steadily, maybe, 1 out of 10, I am starting to listen to that voice, that my intuition. We all have this GPS put in us,
Yes, we do.
that if you slow down and silence yourself and pause, you will know whether it's your mind or it's that GPS, that intuition telling you. We have that gut, right? That gut
Yeah.
feeling.
It
And how
pulls us in the direction we're supposed to go in,
exactly.
if we want to go. But again, like you said, when
Choice is ours.
the choice is ours, but when that gut starts pulling and you start seeing what's in front of you, you're looking at your gut like, maybe I'm just hungry.
Right.
Maybe I need to get some Tums or something, because I'm pretty sure my gut is not telling me to go. No, your gut is telling you to go that way.
Yeah.
And you have to follow it,
All
because
right.
on the other side of that is the life that you deserve. It's the life that if you allow yourself to go through the processes, you allow yourself to be beat down and be built back up through the
Right.
trials and tribulations and learn the lessons, you come out on the other side a different person, that you
Absolutely.
would be in line with everything that you're supposed to do. And I
Yeah.
know this. I speak from experience, and I know
Right.
you speak as well. I mean, I don't want to get too far into my journey, but tell every what is your book called? Tell everybody what your book is called, and how they can get a copy of it, and everything else.
Um, well, so I just wrote a chapter on that one in the Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing.
Hmm.
This is volume 4. And then I have the Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing Technique. That's the volume 1. But I'm also right now getting together some healers, caregivers, end-of-life doulas, and um, someone that has so the topic is sacred death, and how death is not this um what we think it is. It is
Right.
that process of sacredness around it. And just like birth, death also has so much value and so much magic in it. It
Yeah,
holds.
it does.
um, if you just give it a chance and be in that presence. Um, and so looking for people, I'm looking for 24 people. I'm the 25th one. I'm writing about how Reiki helped me grieve, and some of the ways that you can do that. And so I have someone who's writing about sound healing, how that helps. If someone's writing about financial independence in terms of, living will or advanced directive, and
Hmm.
what that means and why it is important to have life insurance and things like that for your loved one. And then someone's writing about the power of breath, right? That breath work, because our breath, that's what keeps us alive, right? And then that
Right.
last breath someone takes, and how, as a survivor, how we sometimes are not able to breathe because we are helpless, we don't know what to do, how to move forward,
Right.
where to go. It's like that moment of helplessness and that anxiety and all that. And so how do you just be in that breath? Someone's talking about that touch, and how important that is. Just
Yeah.
um just touch, like, it gives you that comfort and um, embraces you. So anyway, these are some of them. I'm still looking for people to write more in terms of that deep, positive, unconditional positive regard, where without judgment, without, because there are so many people that have lost someone that were abusive to them,
That's
and
true.
you still took care of them. And how do you move on from that? How do you forgive yourself and them? And how do you um and or some people have regrets on they didn't say certain things, or words weren't said, and so I should have said that, could have said that, things like that. So
Right.
um stories like that. So anybody who's interested, who've had these profound changes, like yourself, you don't have to be a healer, or but you were at some point caregiver, and you've made such a big shift and change in your lifestyle, and change, like you took that invitation,
Hmm.
you opened that window, and you stepped over it to, um you I guess went through that suffering and pain and all that, and so now you are in this other side and helping these men go through the same process, and really appreciate that. So that's some of it, but you can go on my website. I'm still, it's still um, reconstructing, and it's going through changes, but it's www.himalivora.com, and it's HEMALIVORA. or you can look me up on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Coach Hemali, one word. Yeah.
And you're Instagram as well, right?
I am on Instagram. It's _happy_healthy_you as letter U.
Yeah.
Um, and I do have my YouTube channel, but I am not sure of it has the whole, I just started it, so it's still not my name on it, but hoping soon. But if you go on my Facebook or my website, it is linked over there.
Okay. I have to definitely get connected over there. And
Yeah.
I do have your application. So everyone, I'm telling you right now, I have the application to be a part of Hemali's
Yeah.
book and everything. We're going to collaborate on this. So keep an eye out on this. What is the
Oh,
name of, you
okay.
never got to the name of your book. What is the name of your
Oh,
book?
sorry. Sacred Death
Sacred
and
Death.
25 Tools for Caregivers, or healing tools. So because you focus on, men, and you can just write about that and the 5 grieving process, or
Yeah.
and we'll talk about that. And
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that because I haven't been a writer. It's always been in my head, and I've had this image of because I've been working on trying to start to write my own book.
Right,
Sort of like the journey that got me to be, authentically
absolutely.
Tony, the
Right.
person that I am now. And so I was talking with someone yesterday. I was like, I've done a lot of things in my life, pretty intelligent. Not nothing to brag about because this is one of the things that when it comes down to writing books, you want me to put what's up here on paper. This is going to be long. I
Yeah.
mean, because I got 2 words. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Yeah.
It has been sitting in that hi there moment for probably about 6, 7 months now. And
Yeah.
every time I go to it, I go, no. So I'm still trying to figure out doing that. So what I've been doing is I've been reading a lot of books on intuitive creative writing or
Yeah.
intuitive writing because it's two different sections of it. Building up
Right.
the creative writing skills and things like that and learning about it. So I'm still just going. I pick up a book and go, how did he do this? And
Yeah.
then what happens is that I read the book and I really don't pay attention to how they did it because I enjoy the story.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to not distract myself. No, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah, but the thing is that we all have a story to tell, right? And so how do you, uh, um, it will all come through. So yes, I am creating this, but I also have a team. I've hired the publishing, Laura DeFranco, her publishing team, the Brave Healer Production, where she helps you through all these things, and even show you how to do the whole editing and what happens behind the scene,
Mm,
and the writing, and like show me, don't tell me kind of things, and story, and how do you kind of put it in concise, because I didn't think I would ever be writing a chapter or writing a book. I just knew that I had to, um and so I asked, that, okay, it was on my vision board and everything, but I asked, of course, to write my book, but then God puts me in this place and position where, okay, take it slowly, but also brings me in this huge, big community of
yeah.
people and healers and caregivers that have been doing this work for years before even I started, and how they uplift everybody else too with it,
Yeah.
along with them, and holding space for everyone, each other. It's like, it's amazing.
Yeah, it
Uh,
really is. I think
yeah.
a lot of problems is when you start something like that is the self doubt.
Hmm.
Like for me, it's taken me a while to convince myself that I can do it. Right?
Yeah.
So that self doubt, and because I'm constantly saying, if I write this, who the hell would read something like this? And I'm looking back on my life and I go, even if I wrote it, no one would ever believe me,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so what I did is I started noticing that the friends that I have, the long-term friends that I have that have known me, like my
Yeah.
sister and I have a best friend from when I was a kid. So they knew me from the time I was a kid up until the time I left home.
Yeah.
And then there's a person there that knew me from the time I left home from this section and then from this section. So I'm going, you know, okay, I get it now because then you get together, you get this complete story of who you
Right.
are, right? And it's all documented by other people's stories about you.
Yeah.
And it sounds strange when you say it, right? Because people can look at you and go, yeah, right. You don't have to tell me things to make yourself look good or
Yeah.
feel better about, this, that, and the other, right? And you're looking at them going, but I'm telling you the truth. No, you're
Yeah.
no. At
Yeah.
some point, you're not telling the truth because no one can go through all of this.
Yeah.
So when I tell my story, I go, you know what? Before I get any further, I'm not going to say anything.
Mm.
Usually one of my friends will pick up and go, yeah, I remember a time with this, that, and other. And so these people heard it from me and now
Yeah.
they're hearing it from someone else. And I just look at them and go, well, they wasn't around when I told you. So
Yeah.
pretty much it's the same thing. So I'm taking all of these things and I'm learning how to section them off. And
Mhm.
I'm learning how to visualize myself putting it down on paper. And I
Right.
see the book cover, I see the pages, I
Yeah.
know exactly what it's on. But
Yeah.
and now having the opportunity, and I want to thank you so much for that. To having the opportunity to be able to be a part of something bigger than myself,
Right.
and to
Oh,
be
I
able
say
to,
that all the time about this
yeah,
book. It is taking a little longer to find people, but because I feel that the right people haven't come yet,
right, yeah,
and 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 whoever's it is way bigger than I am myself too,
yeah,
because to I can't imagine to even come up with something like that and to talk about. But I feel that conversation is so important and loud, like
hmm,
in a bigger way to talk about death, and it is so important to talk about that because it is part of our
yeah,
uh, life, and we die every single day. Our cells die every single day.
we do,
Every 7 years, we're totally different people because all our cells have been regenerated and new cells have been born. I mean, it's scientific. And so, even in that term, if you look at it, we just don't see it. That's why we don't
hmm,
feel the loss and the grief about it. But yeah, but it is part of it. And so it is my mission to really talk about it in a good way, right? And in the sacred space, uh,
yes,
it for what it is.
I like that.
So
I
bringing
really really
stories
like that.
together and bringing hope and comfort.
I like that. And oh man, wow, I couldn't pick a better way to go out of this segment, man. It's been an honor to have you here,
Oh, thank
Hamali,
you.
and to speak about your journey and your practice and everything that you're doing and future works and everything. If you have any inspiring words to tell someone looking to pursue their dreams or going through something tragic, what would be the words that you would give them?
Wow. What's coming to me is just feel all the feelings and be in it and don't resist things. Just accept what is. Yeah, accept what is and move forward. Um, there are people around you that love and support you,
Mhm.
and just what you need is for yourself to love yourself and support yourself.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, Hamali, thank you for being on today, and I want to thank everybody who's going to be looking at this segment and reach out to Hamali, check out her work, and connect with her and enjoy your journey. And
Well, thank
thank
you
you for
so much
tuning
for
in.
having me.
Of course, of course. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in today and for another episode of Memories of Us for Hemali, Vora. And until next time, you guys be safe and enjoy your journey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Memories of Us podcast. Tune in next week as we delve into Loren Patterson's compelling story. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We have new episodes every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Mountain Time. Until next time, stay strong.